We are happy you are joining us for night 2 of our summit. Yesterday, we talked about the conversation of being stuck and being in stagnant energy and then moving more into creation mode. And as we discussed last night, there's, the idea that you are going to have some of that stuck, stagnant energy where you feel like you're surviving at times. That's going to be a part of life. The beauty, the benefit that we have is how can we move fluidly and with purpose into creation mode, and the ability to navigate between the two of those is what is thriving. So last night we opened up the conversation, what it is, how we can create more of it. And tonight we're going to really focus more on that how principle. What does that look like from the aspect of our 6 principles of health? And creating that balance is not necessarily a myth. It's something that we can all create when we're really tuned into ourselves, our own needs, and we're listening to our bodies. So with that being said, I'm Kayla. It's wonderful to see all you again. I'm a success coach. Nick here is going to be talking tonight about holistic health, as he's a holistic health practitioner.
Awesome. Thank you, Kayla. And I want to start tonight off, guys, with a quick, funny story for you guys. Rewind 8 years ago, some friends invited me out. It was a Saturday night, I believe. I'm about 25 years old at that point in time. Didn't really want to go out because I was having some health concerns, but I was at a bar. Nonetheless, the bar is super packed, Friday night, shoulder to shoulder. And I'm not sure if you guys are familiar, but here in Iowa, we call it a crop dust, is when you gotta fart, but you don't want to do it right where you're at because people are they're gonna know who did it, and your friend group will definitely call you out, and you're not gonna live it down. So, me being the bright individual that I thought I was being, I did a crop dust. I started at one side of the bar, walked across to the bar as I was spraying, just kidding, not spraying, but letting it out, letting the gas, releasing the tank, got a drink, and I turned around, and at that point in time, I shit you not, it was a scene out of a movie. There was a 10-foot radius circle with people pointing fingers at other people saying, that was you, friends blaming friends, guys doing their thing. Hilarious in hindsight, daring it. I was mortified. The reason I was mortified because I was going through some serious health issues at the time. I wasn't having bowel movements for like 4 or 5 days. So you can imagine just the backup and the rotting that was going on in my intestinal tract. Because I wasn't living these 6 foundational principles that we're going to talk about here soon. I was seeing doctors left and right. They were prescribing me medical grade laxatives. And if you guys have ever taken those, they're pretty intense. Those quit working. So they doubled down on it and gave me an even significant dose. They didn't work, had blood work done, and it came back that I had the testosterone equivalent to an 85-year-old man. And I want to remind you guys, I was 25 years old. That is demasculating. It is a terrible place to be. I was, by all means, not thriving at all. My mood was off. I had zero energy. I didn't want to do anything. I couldn't even go to the gym and work out. I had zero libido, which is a pretty tough place to be when you're 25 years old. So I share that story with you, so just so you can see it from that perspective and the significance of what these 6 principles that we're going to talk about and how they can influence your life. If you look at thriving, what it means in a dictionary, it's going to come up with prospering, flourishing, and successful. To me, that all feels external, where I feel thriving is more internal. So, I mean, you can look at Hollywood movie stars. They have fancy cars, big houses, watches, and it looks like they're doing great. And many of them suffer from depression. Some take their own lives. To me, that's not thriving. Thriving is having some health and vitality, feeling grounded, knowing who you are on the inside and out, having control of your life and your emotions, because life's going to throw you curveballs. And if you can't stay grounded and look at those scenarios from an elevated view, or maybe taking a breath and responding rather than reacting and lashing out that people do when they're in this survival mode, it's not going to get you too far. The other thing is, are you a creator? To me, if you're in that creation mode, you're doing something right, and you're probably thriving to a degree. Or are people pointing fingers and blaming other people for why they're not where they want to be? And the last thing I think thriving means, at least in my perspective, is you can weather storms with grace and fidelity. So that to me is what thriving is. So for tonight, what we're going to dive into is I want to start with a plant analogy with you guys. and I'm going to open this up. If you guys want to type your answers in the chat, by all means do that. If you guys are comfortable enough, please unmute yourself and let's have a conversation, because that's what tonight's all about. It's about having a conversation and becoming a community. So question for you guys, what's the difference between these two plants here? Go ahead and unmute yourself, type the answer in the chat box.
Henry says nutrition.
One is deprived of attention and nutrients, environment. Yeah, awesome. I like it. Anything else? Nutrients. What kind of nutrients are we talking about here? One is dying, the other is thriving. Heck yeah, sun. One is thriving, care provided. Beautiful. Obviously, we know the one on the right is thriving. We know the one on the left is not doing too high. It's hanging on by a loose limb. So I want you guys to think back the last time you guys were at a supermarket out in public. How often do you guys see humans that are either one of these plants? What do you guys see more of out in public? And there's no right or wrong answer. I'm just curious. Do you guys see more humans that are like the plant on the left? They're just like dull. They're barely hanging on. That one looks like they're slouched over. Or do you guys see more humans that are fucking vibrant, just have a ton of energy? Like you walk by and you pick up on that energy and you feel good. At this time, more on the left. More on the left. Yes. I would agree with that. Hardships of today's social environment. Yeah, the environment plays a huge factor in our capacity to survive and to thrive. So here's where I want to open it up. Homework for you guys, invitation. We as humans are very similar to plants. Plants need water, sunlight, and soil to thrive. They need it in the right amounts for each individual plant. We as humans, we have 6 foundational principles that we need in order to survive. Do you guys have any guess on what those 6 are? So like I said, if you want to unmute yourself, by all means, I would love that. If you guys just want to type it in. But what do humans need in order to survive? And then
nutrition. Sun.
Yes. Who was that? Thank you.
Hydration.
Tyler. Nutrition, hydration. Beautiful. Daniel says social.
Love and connection. Purpose.
Love and connection. Okay. Social, love and connection, I'm going to say are added benefits, not necessary for survival. We are social beings, and that just takes our experience to a next level. But I'm talking for survival purposes only. So we got food, water. Give me some more.
Shelter.
Okay. Question for you. Do you absolutely need shelter to survive?
Sleep.
Thank you.
Air and air. Oxygen.
Yes. Air, breath, oxygen. Purpose, Daniel, is, I'm going to say you're like 75% of the way there. I love the answer. I'm going to critique that, or I'm going to change it up just a little bit. What are we missing? We said food, we said water, we said sleep, we said oxygen.
Something about exercise in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, if you guys sat in your chair all day, you guys would be SOL. There's no way you guys could go get food. Maybe to some degree you have DoorDash and things of that nature that can bring food to you, but from an evolutionary perspective or looking back, like we need to be able to move. We're not sedentary beings. And then ultimately, guys, the last one ties really closely in with purpose, but it's our thoughts and our words. We need the will to survive. If we don't have that will, we won't make it through those tough times. So this creates the foundation of what humans need in order to survive. And ultimately, if we're not addressing these 6 and they're not in a good balance, I'm going to say your potential for thriving is going to be highly diminished. So, Kyler, you may be unmuted, or if someone else wants to chime in, I want to throw a question out there. You're out in public and you see someone depressed. What's their body language look like?
Like that plant.
100%. Wilted over, rounded, almost like head down. If it had a head, it was tilted forward.
Slow.
Slow, very slow. Henry, I'm going to call on you, brother. If you got the potential, unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself. What does the body language look like of someone that's happy and excited and loving life?
I would say like positive posture.
What's
smiling,
positive posture?
standing upright, being situationally aware, just absorbing the environment. You know, there's a pep in their step. Wanting to open up in conversation and meeting folks, saying hello. Just generally having a really, really positive and attractive vibe in personality and in body language, which tend to go hand in hand.
Yeah. And then can you pick up on that too if you're around that person?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I think it's very, very contagious for sure. I think the latter or the former, being depressed, is more of so like, let's stay away, and then the positive attributes of a thriving individual, you'll want to know more about them and understand how they get to that place in their environment.
Yeah, one's almost like a repellent and the other one almost like attracts you into that individual. Yeah. So my point with asking that question is I want to make the point clear that there's no separation between the mind and the body. When the mind is depressed, we see it in our body language. We're rounded forward. We don't have that energetic posture, that energy that we're giving off. But when our mind is healthy, our body also reflects that. So it's like a two-way street between our body and our mind. So I'm going to talk about it from the physiological side of it for the most part, and how if we influence our body, that's going to influence our thoughts. So the first one I want to dive into is breath. In the chat box, do me a favor, take a guess. I'm going to give you guys 15 seconds. How many breaths do you think you guys take a day? On average, the average person, how many breaths do they take a day? I'm going to open this chat box up. 10,000, 16 to 22 breaths the entire day. Oh, per minute. I was like, Daniel, way off. Yeah, 16 to 22. Okay, good. Couple more guesses. There's no fault. I don't care if you say 200,000, which is wrong. 20,000, awesome. We're getting closer. 75,000, a little bit high. So on average, guys, we take 30,000, 35,000, close. On average, we take 25,900 breaths a day. And I'm going to say that's if we're breathing properly. If we're not breathing properly, we're probably going to take much, much, much more. So has anyone ever worked out before? Done a strenuous workout? Boom. What happens to your breath? Typically, it goes away from your nose and you start breathing from your mouth and potentially your chest as well. So all of this, what it does is it upregulates the system. So if we don't have conscious control of our breath and we're not aware of when we're stressed out, our breath can stress us out, and our stress can have an impact on our breath. So having that conscious awareness of like, holy crap, I'm in a stressful state. One of the first things I can do is take a nice long breath, slow down my breathing rate, and that will have a significant impact on your physiology, which then is connected to your psychology. So you feel more grounded, you're more aware, you're not going to be reacting, you can respond. So breath has a very intimate connection with our overall health. Just to give you guys an insight, I'm probably going to run with this for about 10 more minutes and we're going to open up for Q&A. I just want to give a few insights on each of these. So with that being said, moving into nutrition, one of my favorite topics. You can go on the internet and you can see information on damn near every single side of this, but a couple of key things that come out to play. Nutrition, the quality of the food that you eat has a significant impact on your hormones. So the foods that you eat help create some of your hormones. Many of those hormones are neurotransmitters, so it's going to have an impact on your nervous system. So if your nutrition is off, it's going to impact your hormones. If your hormones are impacted, it's going to impact your nervous system, which is going to impact your brain, your mood, your cognition, all the things above. So if we're not putting a focus on the quality of food that we're putting into our body, we're going to add unnecessary stress. We're going to get an inflamed gut. We're going to feel bloated. We're going to feel disgusting. We're going to have digestive concerns. So if your gut is inflamed, we know the body talks to the brain. So if the gut's inflamed, the brain's going to be inflamed. Who was it? Kyler, are you still on here, brother?
Sure am.
Let me ask you this. When you did a fast, how was your cognition and your thoughts and your clarity after you went through that fast? There's no right or wrong answer here.
Afterwards or during?
During or after? I'm just curious on your.
There's definitely highs and lows. There were short periods of time where I was extremely clear and extremely focused, but for the majority of it, it was more on the opposite side, more slow, present, not sluggish, but just So there's definitely periods of both.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And we just got done with a presentation, an hour ago, and one guy did it I think a 60-hour fast or something like that. Maybe you said 60, but he had a bunch of clarity come through him. Mm-hmm. And my assumption would be that he just cleared out a lot of inflammation. He allowed his immune system to relax, allowed the inflammation to go away, and that brain-body connection just heightened. So moving on to hydration. This is probably one of the most underrated things that anyone does or doesn't do. Your muscles are damn near 90% water, 80% water. Your body is essentially water. Your brain is water. Your cells are water. Your discs in your back are water and your spine are water. If we're not hydrating ourselves, we're causing a lot of stress on the system. So hydration alone it's key. And if you ask many people, and we're going to come to this, and I'm going to ask you guys here in a minute, but how is your guys' hydration? If you read the book, Your Body's Many Cries for Water, he talks about hydration, how that has a significant impact on your mood and psychology. 1% dehydration leads to psychological disorders, per Dr. Batman Gilich in his book. Then we go to sleep, and I'm just going to say we all know the importance of sleep, but few of us actually prioritize sleep. Does anyone have kids here? Who was that? Was that Xavier? Do you got kids, brother?
Sorry, that's actually my son's name. But I forgot to change the name.
You're good.
Yeah, I have 2 kids.
Yeah, so let me ask you this, Xavier. How are your kids if they get poor sleep?
How are my kids when they get poor sleep? Oh, they're cranky. They're cranky and they're a mess and it's really challenging. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But
awesome.
same for us. I mean, same for me.
So Xavier, can you reflect on a time? Has there been a recent time when you haven't gotten good sleep?
Yeah, actually, sadly, when I started to take some CBD supplements.
Yeah. And
that really made a difference for me to fall asleep. But without it, I don't know. I'm a light sleeper. I wake up 4 or 5 times a night. Yeah, this has been an ongoing thing for many, many years.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Do you care if I continue to pick your brain a little bit?
Yeah, no, go ahead, please.
Awesome, Xavier. What is your name? I'm sorry.
Martin.
So
yeah,
Martin,
sorry.
You get poor sleep some night. How does that impact your movement the following day? You more active or more sedentary?
Definitely more. What I noticed is when I have a good night's sleep, I don't crave junk food. The moment I and I don't even need breakfast, which is really interesting. But the moment I'm sleep deprived, I crave all this stuff, mainly sugar. I'm cranky. I'm I'm short with my with my wife, with my kids. And it's definitely, it's not a great thing.
Thank you. And curious, when you get poor sleep, what typically do you go to drink? Do you go to coffees? Do you go to water? Do you go to energy drinks? Do you go to Gatorades? What do you tend to gravitate towards?
To get me through the day, as recently I switched to mate.
I'm saying when you're sleep deprived.
Yes. Right. What I'm drinking to, like, for the day to get me,
Yeah.
to give me energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You usually yerba mate tea
Okay.
or green tea. That's my to go to right now, because I find with coffee, it's just, I start drinking too much coffee, and my body cannot break down the caffeine quick enough towards the night, and it spirals in a cycle.
Yeah. Awesome. I love this conversation. I want to add this point in just for everyone that's listening, guys. Caffeine has a half-life of anywhere between 6 and 8 hours for most individuals. So that means if you have 200 milligrams of caffeine at noon, that means at like 6 to 8 p.m. at night, you still have 100 milligrams of caffeine in your system. You fast forward another 6 to 8 hours. What's that? 2 to 4 in the morning, you still have 50 milligrams of caffeine in your system. So caffeine is a stimulant. It revs you up. So that's going to 100% impact your sleep. So I want to point that out. And then what Martin was saying is when your sleep's interrupted, that's going to impact movement to a large degree. Most people are more sedentary. It's going to impact your nutrition because you're going to go for more starchier and sugary foods. And when you do that, a lot of times people need energy because they're getting poor sleep. So they go to matcha and green tea, which are a hell of a lot healthier. And there is caffeine in them. Caffeine can be a diuretic, which can dehydrate you to a degree, which is going to decrease your hydration levels within your body, which is going to upregulate your breath. You're going to start breathing more quickly because you are in a stressful state. And then ultimately, as Martin was saying, like your kids, even listen to yourself. How's your guys' self-talk when you guys get poor sleep? More than likely, it's not as nice or as kind to yourself as it can be.
Yeah.
So my point with sharing all these things is all 6 of these are intimately connected. You improve one of them, the other ones improve. You do poorly in one, it's going to have an impact on all the other ones. Sleep, for an example, if you get, less than 6 hours of sleep, you're pre-diabetic the next day. You're going to crave starchy foods. It's going to impact your satiation, your satiety the following day. And they've showed that people eat upwards of 500 to 600 more calories on average those days. And typically it's more processed food because it gives us quick energy. So what I'm getting at in a huge roundabout way is these are vital. If we don't have these foundational principles, it's very difficult to get to a thriving state. And then the other kicker is we as men, we're told to suck it up. We're told to go to the gym. We need to be in the gym. We need to push it hard. We need to grow muscle, and we need to be strong and resilient. But what does stress in the gym do? When you're lifting weights and you're going heavy, it taxes the system. It breaks it down. That's the only way for the body to grow. But if we're not recovering because we have poor sleep, we got poor hydration, our nutrition's off, we're upregulated, and we have poor mental and emotional processes, your body's going to be under a ton of stress, and it's not going to grow from the gym efforts as well as it could. So there's a big thing I want to point out to you guys is from a survival perspective, the body prioritizes stress hormones over growth hormones like testosterone. Just from a survival perspective, you're being chased by a bear, the body doesn't care if you're going to grow muscle. It's like, get away from the bear, save your life. So if we are under an immense amount of stress, our growth potential is limited, especially in the gym. So my question to you guys, what I'm going to ask you guys to do in the chat, can everyone go in there real quickly, write down what are your best principles right now. Which ones do you excel at the best? Thoughts, breath, nutrition, hydration, sleep, movement. Are there multiple? Is there only one? Is it all of them? Where are you guys excelling at? And I'm curious to get an insight on this. Nutrition, hydration, sleep, beautiful. Sleep, breath, thoughts and words, awesome. Movement, 1 and 2 are okay. Need to work for sure, though. Need work for sure. Movement, nutrition, beautiful. Okay. Here's what I'm going to ask everyone to do then. Can everyone go in and write their number one thing that they need to work on the most? The least balanced of these 6 principles. Movement, sleep quality, hydration, sleep, thoughts, words. Whew. For those that say thoughts and words, I really hope you guys tune in tomorrow. Kayla is a word magician. She's going to go in and talk all about that. Kyler, as I'm drinking caffeine, whoops, dude, you got a plane ride coming up here in a minute. There's a time and place for everything. So the last thing I want to leave you guys with is societal norms has a big push on men to continue to do more, to work more, to expend more energy, to suck it up, sleep when you're dead, that ache and pain, just work through it. You'll be fine, which leads to a lot more doctor's visits and prescription medications, which leads to more, what am I going to say? Like caffeinated drinks and things to pick me up and things to help get you along. Whereas if we can just come back to these 6 principles and balance them, your life will change immensely. I went from having 0 testosterone at a 25-year-old man to, I'm going to say, fucking thriving and feeling good, really good. And that's a powerful place to be when you can get to that place. And it's not magic. It's nothing crazy. It's not going out and doing this cleanse or buying 100,000 different supplements. It's balancing these foundational principles. This is what we need for survival. If we don't have this, it's going to be damn near difficult to thrive. So on the next slide, I have a spider web, and I already talked about this, how everything is connected. So I don't need to go into that, but I want to leave you with this one last thing before I hand it over to Kayla. The Taoists have a very good saying. This is the Tai Chi symbol, yin yang, if you guys are familiar with it. And essentially what they mean is not too much, not too little. Can you live a balanced life? So I invite you guys, can you guys balance these 6 principles? And you guys will ultimately see that manifest in your communication, in your energy, in your mood, in your libido, your life, your relationships, you name it, it's going to help out. Kayla, I'm going to pass it over to you, and then we'll open up for Q&A or however you want to go about this.
Awesome. Thanks, Nick. So with that being said, what questions do you guys have that we can help answer tonight so that you can start putting more of this into practice about your specific situation or something else? We want to be helpful so that you guys can move towards that thriving and whatever that means for you. So with that being said, feel free to type in the chat box, feel free to unmute yourself, ask your questions. We're here to assist.
I have a sleep question.
Bring it.
So sleep-wise, if someone wanted to improve, I guess this is kind of 2 parts, improve the overall quality of their sleep, what would be maybe some thoughts or ideas, tangible mindsets, whatever it might be? And then also I was curious, my watch tracks, got some dental work done today, so my mouth is still kind of frozen. Deep sleep, light sleep, and REM sleep. And I don't know a lot about a bunch of the differences, but is there one that's most important? Like, how do we increase the most important one kind of thing? I was just curious about some of those things. You're muted, Nick.
Thank you, Kyler. I'll start off with the quality of sleep first. There's many things that play a factor, but from a 30,000 foot view, light has a significant impact. So if you think about us from an evolutionary perspective, when the sun rises, we wake up. When the sun goes down, we go to bed. So right now I have an overhead light on. As soon as I'm off this call, this overhead light's going off. We have cell phones that are always on that are have a ton of blue light. We watch TV, things of that nature. That will have a significant impact on your sleep. Temperature plays a big role. Matthew Walker, the sleep guy, the sleep genius, he's the one that has a couple books out there. The temperature in your house, I believe he recommends 67 degrees. Obviously, everyone's unique and individual. I would recommend if you're at 70, get below 70 degrees. I apologize. I'm from the US. That's Fahrenheit. I don't know what that conversion is. Celsius. Matt, if you know, by all means, or if anyone else. Blackout curtains can help out, cutting out that light. Nutrition plays a huge role. I've worked with a lot of individuals that they will have like cereal and snacks before bed. And what that does, it can have a blood sugar effect where you get high blood sugar and then it drops as you go to sleep. Excuse me. And when your blood sugar gets low, that's a stressor to the body and it jolts them awake. And they're like, oh, I just got to go use the bathroom. And it's like, no, you don't. And you change their nutrition up and they sleep through the night. For anyone that has a racing mind, another thing I would recommend is having a notepad next to your nightstand. Things come up, write it down. To-dos, write it down. So you're not like, I need to remember this in the morning. I need to remember this in the morning. Am I going to forget it? And you just get that stuff out on paper. So those off the top of my head would be some of the major ones that jump out. Your other question was how to improve the quality of, how to improve like REM, deep sleep, and light sleep. Caffeine. That's a big key one. Here's the thing though, everything I just got done talking about, you improve those things and these 6 principles, your sleep will improve. That's a byproduct. I don't know if you can say one is better than the other. They all serve their purpose. Typically, what are you using? A Whoop, an Oura Ring?
Garmin.
Okay,
So I
I'm
don't
not
know
sure
how accurate they are specifically, but
yeah, I know a Whoop is not as accurate as an Oura Ring, just from personal experience. We want REM sleep early on in the first part of the night, and then the end of the night, we typically get more deep sleep there. And I'm just going to say, go back to everything that we just got done talking about. That's going to improve all of those.
cool.
Caffeine being one of the bigger ones.
Noted.
Awesome. Thank you. Did that answer your question?
Sure did. Yep. Thank you.
Awesome, brother. Any other questions?
Martin had one in the chat. He asks, what's the best time to go to sleep and wake up? And then second question is last meal before sleep.
Beautiful. Best time to go to sleep. I'm going to paint with a broad brush here. There is individual differences. I would say head on the pillow by 10:30 p.m. Wake up with the sun, 6:30, 6-ish, somewhere around there. I would shoot for 8 hours. And what I always tell my clients, you get 8 hours and then prove to me that you can do it with less. So make 8 hours a priority for 3-4 weeks, and then go to 7 hours or 7.5 hours and tell me how you feel. Do you feel the same, or do you not feel the same? And then it's not me telling you, it's your body telling you. And then it's really tough to argue with that. And you have a personal compass of what works best for you.
Yeah.
There's another part.
Yeah, thank you. Would you recommend to wake up to alarm or go by cycles or sun coming up and rising and so on? And probably there's many different answers or ways, personality related as well, I would say.
Who is this speaking right here?
Martin. That's a different Martin. Martin, not the exact.
I had to scroll down. Martin, give me 1 second. I believe Martin had a different question, right? It was
That's
like
me.
food.
That was me. Sorry, that was me.
Oh, okay, okay. You
have
had
two
food
markings,
before
yeah.
sleep, right?
Yeah,
The
Can I
second
answer that?
question was last meal before sleep. Yep.
yeah.
So this one, I'm gonna give you like a lawyer answer. It depends.
Mhm.
Some people do really well with food 1 to 2 hours before bed. I'm not a fan of that. It doesn't work well for me. I'd rather go 4 hours without food before bed. What I would suggest you start with and try, go more with fats and proteins at night. They don't have as big of a spike on the glycemic index or on your blood sugar. So typically they're slower to break down and it doesn't interrupt your sleep to the degree that if you would have cereal or ice cream or other sugary type foods out there. So that's where I would recommend starting with and play around with it. Try 2-3 hours without food before you sleep. The one thing I would say is don't go to bed on a full stomach. Your body wants to do all these processes and repair and psychological repair too. We don't want to spend all the time breaking down food and digesting it. So I'm a big fan of having at least 2 hours before bed without food. And that's my personal preference. And that's what I share with my clients.
Good. Thank you.
All right. I know you had another question, right?
Those were 2 questions. That was
Okay.
fun.
Did I get them?
Thanks.
Awesome. Love the questions, guys. Anything else? Cool.
Amount of the water to drink in a day. Probably not a right or wrong answer.
You're catching on. Here's what I would say. If you're not obese, I would say shoot for half your body weight in ounces of water. So if you're, once again, I'm not doing metric. So I apologize for any people out there that are not on the imperial system. So a 200-pound person, shoot for 100 ounces. Obviously, if you're like 450, 300 pounds, 150 ounces in a day, that's a lot. Start with that as a good rule of thumb. If you're at the point where you're only drinking 2 bottles of water a day, just double that. Get to 4 bottles and see how you feel. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah. For you, whatever your weight is, divide it by 2 in pounds. I forget what the conversion is in kilograms, so I apologize for that, guys.
Fine.
Should have brushed up on that.
We function in both. So
Good for you. Anything else? Kayla, you want to wrap it up then? Unless another question comes through.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, for joining us for our day 2 of our summit. Tomorrow, we are going to be talking about moving from a fear state to a power state. Matt and I will be sharing on that. And we'll be continuing this conversation. We appreciate all the questions. We appreciate the community that's forming. It's really important as an individual is growing and they're improving in their life to have that community around them to support them and to help motivate them and to have other people that are on the similar journey as you. It makes the process a lot easier, and it also allows you to lean on other people for support. In the chat box, Matt just dropped the link. If you're interested in learning more about the Thriving Man Academy, we have our next cohort. We'll be starting on February 6th. The cohort is led by myself, Nick, Matt, and then Jen McMaster as well. And that's a 12-week course. It's going to be touching on and expanding all these topics that we're talking about in the summit itself. So if you want more tangible resources, if you want more opportunities to talk about these concepts with other coaches, with other men to grow through whatever you're growing through your own personal experience, this would be a great opportunity for you. As part of the SFE, as being part of this summit, you get $300 off the course. Just mention it in the call. And it's really helping you become more embodied because you're here right now. Obviously, you have a goal, you have an agenda, you have a purpose to continue to better yourself. And that's what we're here to support you guys in doing in the Thriving Man Academy. If you have any questions, as always, reach out to us. Otherwise, we're really excited to continue the conversation with you tomorrow. If you miss anything, we're going to be sending you a video from every single day on Friday. So you'll have those to rewatch at your leisure and to take additional notes as well. With that, we thank you guys for joining. If you have any additional questions, please ask, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks,
Safe
everybody.
travels, Kyler.
Thank you.
I do have a question. How much is the how much one-on-one attention is there during the Thriving Man Academy?
Great question. So we have the 12 weeks of group calls, and then you also have a call with every single coach. And so you also have 4 calls, one with each coach throughout the 12 weeks as well.
Okay. And is there information as to how much the whole experience is, the 12 weeks?
I want to, it's not on the booking page that we dropped. It'll be on the website. So can you drop that into the chat? And then you can also look, that'll give you some more information. We'll also include Martin, when we send out the email to everybody on a Friday, we'll include the link to the website, which will give you guys more information as well in regards to it.
Right.
So,
Thank you.
and then you'll also have the link to like booking a call after that. So, you know, you can look at it now, you can look at it Friday. You can come with more questions tomorrow. We'll be here.
Great. And Nick, one last question. So
Yeah,
would you recommend not to drink coffee at all, like to skip caffeine, or just to break the routine for a little while?
here's my suggestion. I don't know how much you're drinking right now, how much caffeine. Once again, there's information on both sides of the field. Caffeine's good for you. There's mental health, there's longevity aspects to it, and then there's negative aspects to it. My personal recommendation would be take caffeine out for 2 weeks. See how you feel. Allow it to get out of the system. If you're having a lot, scale that down incrementally. Otherwise, you can go through like a withdrawal period where you get a ton of headaches and be very lethargic. Once you have it out of your system for a good 7 to 14 days, add it back in, and you'll find your perfect dose. So like for myself, I can do about 75 to 100 milligrams of caffeine a day. If I go more than that, I get very jittery. My sleep is interrupted. Kayla and I did a podcast one day, and I couldn't even I couldn't fucking think. I was like, Kayla, I don't know what to say. Like, you just talk. So take it out and then slowly add it back in. You'll find a perfect dose for you. The one recommendation I would say is I would err on not having caffeine after about 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. right in that area. That's where I would cut it out, just so most of it's out of your system by the time you go to bed. Because like we said, we're a battery. If we're not charging our system at night, that has a significant impact on our mental or emotional or physical health the next day, if not the next 2 days.
Thank you.
Absolutely, brother. Anything I can do. Any other questions? Awesome, guys. One hell of a call. I appreciate everyone showing up, asking questions, and committing to improving yourself. Thank you.